The Formula One world is about to witness one of the most dramatic comebacks in recent memory. Christian Horner, the man who built Red Bull Racing into a championship-winning powerhouse, is actively negotiating his return to the sport, and the team he's targeting might surprise you. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Max Verstappen has just revealed that he and Horner never actually stopped talking, maintaining secret contact throughout one of the most dramatic title fights in F1 history. According to exclusive reports from the Telegraaf, Horner is in active talks with Alpine about returning to Formula One in 2026. This isn't just another team principal position we're talking about here. Horner is eyeing something far more substantial, an ownership stake in the struggling French team. The deal on the table involves a potential 24% stake in Alpine, currently held by Otro Capital, an American investment consortium that's reportedly ready to sell. Now, who exactly is behind Otro Capital? We're talking about some serious star power here. Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, Michael B. Jordan, Rory McIlroy, and Anthony Joshua. These A-listers joined the investment deal back in 2023, pumping $200 million, approximately 354 million Australian dollars into the Alpine project. But now, less than 3 years later, that investment group appears ready to exit, and Horner is positioning himself to step in. The timing couldn't be more perfect or more complicated. Horner's gardening leave from Red Bull expires in April 2026. Shortly after the F1 season kicks off with the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne, his departure from Red Bull came with a hefty price tag. Reports suggest he received a staggering £60 million payout. That's the kind of money that gives you options, and Horner seems determined to use it wisely. But why Alpine? Why would a man who dominated Formula One with Red Bull, who oversaw Max Verstappen's 4 world championships, choose to rebuild a team that just finished dead last? The answer is brutally simple. Alpine is desperate, and desperation creates opportunity. The French team finished 10th in the Constructors' Championship in 2025, making them the worst performing team on the grid. This is a team that needs saving, and Horner has built his entire reputation on turning struggling operations into winners. Currently, Flavio Briatore sits in the team principal chair at Alpine, but the 5-year-old's tenure is widely viewed as temporary. Briatore returned to F1 in a management position last year, but his scandal-plagued history and advanced age make him an unlikely long-term solution. Horner, by contrast, represents everything Alpine desperately needs: credibility, experience, and a proven track record of success. Now, let's talk about the revelation that's sending shockwaves through the F1 paddock. Max Verstappen, in a candid interview with Viaplay, pulled back the curtain on his relationship with his former boss, and what he revealed is extraordinary. Throughout the entire second half of the 2025 season, as Verstappen mounted one of the greatest comeback attempts in F1 history, he and Horner were in constant contact. Not occasional contact, not monthly check-ins, constant, regular race weekend communication. Every week, during every race Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Verstappen confirmed this when asked if they were still in touch 5 months after Horner's dismissal. Think about that for a moment. While Laurent Mekies was running the Red Bull operation, while Verstappen was clawing back a seemingly impossible championship deficit, Horner was there in the background, offering support, sending messages of encouragement, and maintaining the bond they'd forged over years of shared success. He sends me messages, for example, but we also keep in touch during holidays, Verstappen explained. It's more about him saying, "I wish you the best of luck, and I believe in you. I'm your biggest fan," blah blah. But also about what we've all been through. The casual dismissal of blah blah can't hide the emotional weight of those words. This wasn't just a professional relationship that ended with a pink slip and a severance package. This was something deeper. The context makes it even more remarkable. When Horner was sacked by Red Bull in July after the British Grand Prix, Verstappen found himself 69 points behind championship leader Oscar Piastri. That deficit grew to a seemingly insurmountable 104 points after Piastri's win and Verstappen's second-place finish at Zandvoort. Most observers wrote off Verstappen's championship hopes at that point. The math simply didn't work, but what followed was one of the most dominant stretches of racing in modern F1 history. Under new boss Laurent Mekies, Verstappen roared back with 6 wins in the final 9 races, adding 2 second-place finishes, 2 third-place finishes, and a sprint win in the United States. "Christian ultimately went through fire for me," Verstappen said, his voice carrying the weight of those shared memories, especially those moments in 2021 which you'll never forget. Anyone who lived through that season knows exactly what he means. The controversies, the battles with Mercedes, the final lap in Abu Dhabi that decided everything. Horner stood beside Verstappen through it all. Verstappen was careful to explain the circumstances of Horner's dismissal without throwing anyone under the bus. Things weren't going well within the team in terms of results, and there was a bit of unrest. And when things aren't going well for a while, it's the shareholders who want to see change, he told Viaplay. Ultimately, it's just difficult because you built up a bond with Christian and achieved so much together. The pain in those words is palpable. This wasn't a firing Verstappen wanted or agreed with, but he understood the business realities that forced it. Despite the turnaround in Red Bull's form after Horner's departure, Verstappen refused to use that success to diminish his former boss's legacy. I want to be careful about how I express that. I don't want to disparage Christian because he has obviously achieved a great deal in the team, and others have yet to achieve that, Verstappen said. He also brought people into the team who helped us achieve this, and when things aren't going well, you see changes happening in other sports too. But while Horner plots his F1 return, Verstappen is facing his own complications for 2026. The four-time world champion has been quietly building a parallel racing career in endurance racing, and recent developments suggest those plans are accelerating. On Tuesday, Verstappen tested a Mercedes-AMG GT3 at the Estoril circuit in Portugal, sparking immediate speculation that Verstappen.com Racing could be switching from Ferrari to Mercedes machinery for the GT World Challenge Europe. More tantalizingly, this move could pave the way for Verstappen's long-desired attempt at the Nürburgring 24 Hours, one of the most grueling and prestigious endurance races in motorsport. But here's the problem. Verstappen's full-time F1 commitments might make that dream impossible. Speaking to media in Singapore, he laid out the challenges with characteristic bluntness. It depends on F1 first of all. I'm suspecting that with the rules next year, it's going to be very complicated to start with some unknowns anyway, Verstappen explained. And he's not wrong to be concerned. 2026 brings wholesale regulation changes to Formula One, with entirely new cars and, crucially for Red Bull, their first in-house power units. This isn't a year where Verstappen can afford to be distracted or underprepared. It probably will be a little bit more hectic than the end of a regulation where things are a bit more straightforward, he continued. Plus, there's also the program of the GT3 team, which car we are going to race next year and stuff like that. So there are a lot of things that still have to come together before I can really plan it well in advance. The calendar conflicts are brutal. While the Nürburgring 24 Hours itself takes place from May 14 to 17, 2026, and doesn't clash with an F1 weekend, the preparatory races are a different story entirely. 3 NLS preparatory races and the critical 24 Hours qualifiers all clash directly with the F1 calendar. In total, 6 NLS rounds conflict with the 2026 F1 calendar.